Dayton Mediation Center helps the Montgomery County Juvenile Court by facilitating mediations for youth that are charged with unruly referrals, delinquency charges, any type of issue that may be going on in the schools, kids being bullied.
Some kids had ambushed a police officer off duty with paint guns. Needless to say, when the officer got ambushed, he did not know the barrels pointing out of the window were paint guns.
There's many cases where police officers are called to the scene, there are citizens in conflict, and there really isn't a law violated, at least at that time.
As a commander out in one of the patrol divisions, we found that we had an excessive amount of call loads going to the same locations every time.
Certainly there's a likelihood that a crime could occur. And yet we look at our tool belt for the right tool to resolve it, and we don't have it. It's not there.
At the juvenile court, when kids are charged, we can give them a consequence, but it doesn't repair the relationship, and that's something that the Dayton Mediation Center focuses on.
A lot of these events were things that really the police department couldn't deal with as far as problems with neighbors. There was no criminality in the complaints we're receiving.
A group of volunteers came in and provided training to our staff, and then they came back a few weeks later and provided training to the inmate population.
They were able to get the teachers involved, the principal involved, and all of the youth. They didn't have to miss school. Parents came as well.
We did a mediation for a neighborhood.
I had the opportunity to participate in some conflict coaching because I had a difficult employee in my office.
She felt like she was so defeated and she had no voice because no matter what she said, her aunt just wouldn't listen to her.
The Dayton Mediation Center actually provides a 2-hour workshop to the Reentry Career Alliance Academy.
So we realized we needed individuals who had expertise, who could actually take the time to get behind the conflict.
The Dayton Mediation Center went out to the school and conducted the mediation there.
A lot of times victims are left feeling like they didn't get heard, and the consequences that people receive rarely do anything to restore any sense of balance or a wholeness to a situation.
Everyone, when they're in conflict, can get in that same space of not really knowing what to do, not feeling heard.
People do want to be viewed differently than they often are, and mediation gives people that opportunity.
Instead of you telling someone what to do, giving them the principles and the faith to honestly do it for themselves.
It empowers the victim, it empowers the people involved in the dilemma to be able to express themselves, and it truly repairs the relationship so that issues do not continue.
Most of us like to hear and not listen to people.
I think when you give people the ability to express themselves and want to do something, they most likely will take it.
Having an opportunity to sit in a room with a third party who was just there to help facilitate a conversation and didn't take sides really gave her that chance to say, hey, this is how I feel, this is what's going on with me, and I just need for you to listen.
You watch people become stronger and able to voice their thoughts. They're able also to listen and maybe hear another person differently.
He had a story to tell. And it wasn't that he was someone who had assaulted someone else, or it wasn't just that. He knew he had done something, but he wanted to tell a story, and he wanted to tell her and her parents, because that's not how he viewed himself.
Part of what they've taught us is not to speak for them and to let them speak for themselves.
It seemed to help people find solutions without actually needing professionals involved in the process.
Two parties each learn more about each other and each get a piece. They move to a different place together.
The Mediation Center brings two things that are sorely needed not only in our city but in society in general. The first is a listening ear. The second is some empathy.
So we reached out to the Dayton Mediation Center at that time, and they became a huge asset.
And we now have some trained staff members and offenders in mediation as a result of that initial contact.
We saw a huge decrease in our call load, and we weren't going to the same locations every time.
Everybody who's at the table feels like the resolution met their needs. That's something that you don't see in traditional problem solving or even our court systems.
probably 9 times out of 10 or even better, the parents leave with a smile on their face and a different attitude about their kids.
All parties came out satisfied with the results of the mediation. The little girls ended up friends.
One of them happened to be a judge's son, and the situation got brought into the mediation center for resolution. Officer was hot, kids were mortified, judge was none too happy, but everybody got to sit down and essentially clear the air on the situation.
They're really upset with the kids, and you see the transformation that they have when they hear that their kid's not all bad, and it's the frustration that they felt about what they had to go through. It's just kind of a bump in the road, and that they're really doing a good job as a parent.
These are volunteers resolving these cases that would otherwise take years of time out of our police and our court system and other places in the city that would be involved in these disputes. These folks are resolving it as volunteers just to make the city a better place.
They were a little bit opposite kind of a thing, and they started like talking like good buddies, and they resolved the whole issue. And at the end of the thing, they say, "Are you guys paid?" And we said, "No, we are not paid. We are volunteers." And they said, "You guys are doing a great thing. Can I be a part of this whole process? Or can I mediate?"
It's interesting the number of people who leave the community impact panels and want to volunteer.
And this is a resource that just frankly does not exist almost anywhere. We're all about punishing, we're all about force and volume in this society now. And something like the Mediation Center that goes against that grain and is effective in resolving these concerns and complaints in a humane and, frankly, for the city, which is good, is cheap fashion.
And this center is the center of gravity for transformative mediation in the world now.
It's a high responsibility position as a mediator in the community, but they also give you the training that allows you to fulfill that high level of responsibility.
The volunteers are just a very interesting, diverse group of people. I enjoy going in on Saturday, and you have that time you're waiting before cases. It's just a great group to talk with, debate, talk over current events. They're just fun.
What drove me to it is the philosophy behind the theory of mediation. I was so curious about it.
I volunteer every Saturday because I absolutely love the work.
The mediations we do really just stick with you. The opportunity to help a mother and her son who he doesn't know if he's going to be incarcerated, he's dealing with the consequences of some very bad behavior, but helping them have a conversation, get clarity, so that whatever his future is, whatever path they take forward, they can forge a better relationship going forward. And it's really those relationships and the communication that we help foster that really brings me back.
When I heard about mediation, I got here as soon as I could.
When you can sit down with these people and help them have that conversation and see them shift from people that were very confused, angry, disoriented, scared, walk out of that center, shaking hands, parents trading phone numbers, getting a resolution that gets them back whole. And you walk out of that center and get in a car, and you feel like you've contributed and you've also grown by being able to use this skill to help someone else.
I love the Mediation Center.